Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow.
Well, now, Governor Perry, I understand your point, but I don't think we can put the genie back in the bottle and to try to change your endorsement at this point. You could change your endorsement, I guess, away from Mr. Gingrich. But well, I've got you on the phone. Basil and I are doing the Washington Post crossword puzzle today, and we're looking at number 33. We could use a little help. The clue, 33 across on today's Washington Post crossword puzzle. The clue is alley, A-L-L-E-Y, and what they're looking for is a three-letter word. And Basil insists that it's got to be cat, that I must have made a mistake with the clue going down, thread holder, but that's spool. That's definitely spool. So we know it's not alley cat, no matter what Basil insists. But at any rate, okay, yeah. No, you're close. I think you're close on that one. Governor Perry says, oops. No, I think you're almost right. I think because of the third letter being P, I think it's actually the old comic strip Alley Oop. Okay, good. Okay, we'll get you back on the show later on, and you can try to undo history with that one. Okay, okay, Basil, I understand you're trying to make a point here with our guest, Governor Mitt Romney, who's we've got via telephone, and of course we also have the call-in line for people to call in. But Basil, I think your point is well taken. Basil is a baseball buff. Basil is a baseball fan from way back. He's a very very big baseball fan, and the point he's getting at is his narrative is that he's talking about the Cleveland Spiders professional baseball team, and of course, as you know, Basil gets his whiskers all worked up over baseball. That's his sport of sports. So Basil's telling me about the Cleveland Spiders back at the turn of the last century, professional baseball team, became fairly efficient, fairly good toward the end of the century. 1895, 1896, they were right up there. They had their fortunes looked good, and then in 1899, their owner, not named Bain, I might note, for the defense of Governor Romney, not named Bain, a fellow by the name brothers by the name of Robison. They bought another team out of bankruptcy known as the St. Louis Browns, another professional baseball team, and suddenly the brothers Robison transferred three future Hall of Famers, Jesse Burkett, Bobby Wallace, and a fellow by the name of Cy Young, who I guess was actually the Cy Young Award winner every year until they actually named the award after him, and that award stands to this day. So they transferred these three future Hall of Famers from Cleveland to the St. Louis team, pretty much decimated the Cleveland team. They felt that the market was better in St. Louis. It was a bigger metropolitan area. There was a better bet for them. So they transferred all the good players away from Cleveland. The Cleveland Spiders sent them over to St. Louis, and all of a sudden, in 1899, Cleveland finished the season with 20 wins and 134 losses, which is the worst in baseball history, not even outdone by the 1962 New York Mets, who actually won 40 games. But at any rate, so he took a team that was successful, stripped away its best parts and sold them, its best players, and left a team behind, the Cleveland Spiders, who eventually, of course, went out of business. And I guess Basil's point in talking about that is, okay, we'll go there. We're going to have to go there, Governor Romney. But, Welcome to Basil BuddhaCat Presents. My name is David Stevenson. I am Basil's co-host, Basil BuddhaCat in the center slot, and our guest, Governor Mitt Romney. And now we're going to talk about some issues, but most importantly, what's most on our mind today, and we're going to cover this in the first show. Then and Sunday morning we'll come back and we'll do a religious show that focuses more on the religious aspects of the race, including talking about the different religions involved with, on the Republican side. We've got Rick Santorum, who's a Roman Catholic. We've got Governor Romney, who is a Mormon, member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. But maybe more important, we're going to talk about something called birth control. And there was a ruling by the Obama administration which has caused an incredible fury. Okay, Basil, I'll let you explain it because Basil's the learned one of the two of us. Says he is. He can certainly twitch his whiskers better than I can by a long shot. But Basil's going to do a little explaining about that. We'll get Governor Romney on the phone. We'll see if we have some call-ins. But Basil's point is that in terms of the Supreme Court decision, which in essence created personhood for corporations, Basil thinks that this is kind of if I'm going to get this right, Basil, okay. Basil likes to use the term unintended consequences or unexpected consequences. And Basil believes that, and I think it's a point well made, that the ruling by the Obama government, by the Obama administration, is not forcing anyone, any person, to do anything. He's not forcing anyone to use birth control pills, although the majority of women do, but certainly some don't. Some use the rhythm method, and that's most notable in the more traditional realm of the Catholic Church, more so than in other religions. But he's not forcing any person to do anything, to use birth control. What he's forcing, not even the Catholic Church, but he's forcing, when the Catholic Church gets involved in corporate enterprises, whether they be hospitals, whether they be in health insurance, when they step from the church realm, from the religious realm into corporate enterprises, this ruling forces them to make the pill available by choice to individuals who are covered by their insurance or who go to Catholic hospitals for treatment. That they have to make the pill available as a choice. And of course now we also know that we've seen some laws that were sent through state legislatures in a number of states, most notably. Okay, yeah, Basil, you want to get onto that. That's important. Basil says that a number of states in recent years have tried to advance a law through their legislatures, a law that says that life begins at conception. And one of the, it is an unintended consequence, perhaps. One of the consequences of those laws, if they had passed, they lost badly, including Mississippi. They lost by a substantial margin. They were voted down by the voters in Mississippi. If you have a law which says that life begins at conception, then it essentially outlaws the birth control pill. It makes it an illegal tool, because what the birth control pill does, the pill doesn't prevent conception. You have consenting adults, hopefully, but at any rate, a man and a woman have intercourse, and there's the sperm fertilizes the egg. You have conception, and what the pill does is the pill prevents the fertilized egg from implanting itself on the uterine wall. So that's what it does. It prevents a conceived sperm and egg combination from implanting itself, so it cannot become a person. It cannot become a baby. At any rate, so enough of that, Basil. We'll get back onto that later. This is a very big point to Basil, but we're going to have to get back because, Basil, we do have our guest Mitt Romney, and I've got Mitt Romney via my cell phone. It appears we're not getting his voice into the into our studio, so it's not being recorded. So what I'll do is I'll listen to what ask Mr. Romney questions and let him answer, and then I'll pass him along. If I misspeak in any way, he'll correct me, and I'll correct the terminology that I've used. But thank you for joining us, Mr. Romney. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Now, we've just recently had two primaries in a caucus: Colorado, Minnesota, and Missouri. And Rick Santorum, who was on the show last week, Mr. Santorum, won all three of those events. He won all three of those. Now, the Missouri one is non-binding. That's to say that those delegates from Missouri are held back and are not bound to the vote of the voters in Missouri, the Republican voters. They're not bound by their decision. But at any rate, so Mr. Santorum won three pretty substantial wins, including Colorado, a caucus there, which was up until the time of the caucus was pretty much conceded that you would win that, Mr. Romney, and in fact you fell behind by. It was about 10 points you lost by. It was about 45-35, with the other two candidates, Ron Paul and Newt Gingrich, getting most of the remainder of those votes in the caucus. Now, one of the criticisms of you along the way has been that you have a history of being on a lot of sides of a lot of issues. And that's important, perhaps, to note in this issue with this birth control ruling, because when your health care proposal, your health care reform, was passed in Massachusetts back in 2005, I believe, one of the important things with that is that it was required of insurers and healthcare providers, hospitals and doctors, that they had to make birth control, the pill, available to women, and that's what's caused such an incredible firestorm now. And as I understand it, you made sure along the way, or did not stand in the way, certainly, of that being part of the Massachusetts healthcare reform bill, and a lot of people have become. Okay. It looks like you've Looks like you've made a change of a hard change of opinion on that matter there, or perhaps not. We need to talk about this. I think that first of all, your losses in those three primaries, people's conception, if you will. People's conception that you're not strong on any issues in any one particular direction. You've been in many places on virtually every issue. Okay, he's been telling me throughout this discussion with him that he's, what he did in the past is something very different than what he would do now. And he thinks the same way that a candidate for president could be married to one person, then be married to another person, okay, and then be married to a third person. Oh, hold on. Okay, Basil says, hey, what's the fuss with that? Cats do this all the time. Cats, dogs, every other animal in the animal kingdom. Yeah, hold on a second, Governor Romney. Basil says that every other animal in the animal kingdom, for the most part, there are some animals that bond and stay together for life, but most animals in the animal kingdom, most mammals certainly, have multiple partners through their life. Sometimes, and I guess, I don't know if Mr. Gingrich crossed that line or not, but quite often have multiple partners at the same time. Okay, yeah. Governor Romney says he's pretty much convinced that that's happened with Governor Gingrich. I'm sorry, former Speaker of the House Gingrich on many occasions. Okay, well, we'll let everyone do a little research on that one and see if they can come up with something for the show on that. But at any rate, so I understand what you're saying, former Governor Romney, that certainly, particularly Mr. Gingrich has been in a lot of different positions and a lot of different situations throughout his life, and you think it's fair to note that a human being can change their mind, they can grow into their credo, into their series of beliefs, into their convictions over a period of years, and you're asking the voters to understand that that you've done that too, and to be forgiven for anything that you may have done in the past which was offensive to any of your Republican Party constituents. Okay. Okay. Hold on one second. We've got a phone call coming in. We've got a caller. Of course, this is the call-in show. We just never know if anybody's ever going to call in, but that's how it is. Basil BuddhaCat presents. Okay. Would you mind if I asked you to identify yourself? Okay. It's the ghost of Cy Young, or so he claims. Okay. Yep. Okay, Mr. Young, I understand that you're not related to. You're not related to any of the Youngs that were involved in forming the Mormon Church, and you want that to be, first of all, well known. Okay, now, he also wants the audience to understand that that he was very upset when this series of events took place in the late 1800s, in the late 19th century, when he was sent packing from the Cleveland Spiders to the St. Louis Browns, who eventually became a great team, and eventually the Cleveland Spiders faded into history. Okay, now, any points to make on the other guys? The other guys, have you ever spoken with the ghosts of the other folks? And I have to get the names back here. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I know you know who I'm talking about, but it's important to note there were some other folks that were sent along from the Cleveland Spiders to the and that would be Jesse Burkett and Bobby Wallace, both future baseball Hall of Famers who were sent along with you to the St. Louis team. And he also wants to note that not only did those owners, or he'll call them venture capitalists, but the owners of the two teams, not only did they raid one team in the hopes of shifting power to another team and creating one very powerful team, and stripping power from the team that the folks in Cleveland may have never forgotten what was done to them back then, or done to their grandparents or their great-grandparents or their great-great-grandparents. But at any rate, so the three of them, Jesse Burkett, Bobby Wallace, and Cy Young, were sent packing. So Mr. Young, what's your point? What do you want us to tell the audience? What do you want to convey to the audience about that? He says that he has. I want to make sure I get this right. Basil, you can weigh in a moment. He wants it known that it was very unfortunate what was done to the city of Cleveland, and he's held that against the owners, or as he calls them, the venture capitalists, the Robinson brothers. He's held that against them throughout the remainder of his life and into the hereafter. It's important to note that Cy Young holds a pretty powerful place in baseball history. The annual award for the top pitcher First of all, it was the top pitcher in the major leagues, and later on they established a Cy Young Award for each of the two leagues, the American League and the National League. But the name of the award, the Cy Young Award, of course, is after Cy Young, who was considered to be the best pitcher of all time, certainly, and a legend, and certainly legend enough to have an award, a pitching award, the pitching award, named after him. Okay, Mr. Young, we're gonna have to let you go, but we'll get back in the conversation here with former Governor Romney and with Basil. Okay, thanks very much for calling. Okay, Basil, you wanted to make a point. Okay, Basil wants to make the point that it is in fact a parallel. Well, he wants to make two parallel points. One parallel point relates to the baseball story and to former Governor Romney's company, Bain Capital, that venture capitalists take good performing companies that should be boosted and supported by folks that are involved in them, and strip those companies of their best points, sold off, and then let the companies go into bankruptcy. And he says that it's important to note that Mr. Romney's company, Bain Capital, did that on many occasions, and it's Basil puts it, it's a whiskery shame. Okay. Also, Basil wants to point out that relative to the issue of the Obama administration's birth control policy, that the